Slavery existed when the Roman Empire controlled the Mediterranean and most of Europe.
Hey guys, welcome back again on my YouTube channel. So today I'm going to be diving into Candace Owens on slavery. Yes, the reason I'm diving into this video is because when I did Star Spangled Banner, a lot of comments came about the slavery part of it. So I'm going to be diving into Candace Owens aspect of slavery, and we're going to explore it together. So stick around to the end of the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment on this YouTube channel. Also, feel free to use our Buy Me Coffee link to make priority requests on the next video lecture on our YouTube channel. I'll see you guys on the video.
And now for a brief history of slavery. Here's the first thing you need to know. Slavery was not invented by white people. It did not start in 1619 when the first slaves came to Jamestown. It existed before then. It did not start in 1492 when Columbus discovered the New World. In fact, when the intrepid explorer landed in the Bahamas, the native Taino tribe hoped that he would help them defeat their aggressive neighbors, the Caribs. The Caribs enslaved the Taino and, on occasion, served them for dinner. Slavery existed in Africa, Asia, and the Middle East. The word slave actually comes from the Slavs of Eastern Europe. Millions of them, all white by the way, were captured and enslaved by Muslims in the 9th century and later by the Ottoman Turks. Slavery existed when the Roman Empire controlled the Mediterranean and most of Europe from the 1st through the 5th centuries. Slavery existed when Alexander the Great conquered Persia in the 4th century BC. It was so common that Aristotle simply considered it natural. The slave-master model was just how the world operated in the great philosopher's day. Slavery existed during the time of the ancient Egyptians 5,000 years ago. As far back as we can go in human history, we find slavery. As renowned historian John Steele Gordon notes from time immemorial, slaves were a major item of commerce. As much as a third of the population of the ancient world was enslaved. Here's the second thing you need to know. White people were the first to formally put an end to slavery. In 1833, Britain was the first country in the history of the world to pass a slavery abolition act. They were quickly followed by France, who in 1848 abolished slavery in her many colonies. Then, of course, came the 13th Amendment in the United States Constitution. After centuries of human slavery, white men led the world in putting an end to the abhorrent practice. That includes the 300,000 Union soldiers, overwhelmingly white, who died during the Civil War. Now, am I saying that this makes white people better than anyone else? Of course not. My purpose here is to simply tell the truth, and the truth is that human history is complicated.
Exactly.
No one, regardless of skin color, stands guiltless. Yet today we are never told to consider the murderous Persian Empire or the cannibalism of indigenous tribes of North and South America or the heinous actions under the imperialistic Muslim, Chinese, Mongol, or Japanese empires, to name just a few. Instead, we're told that slavery is a white phenomenon. And like all persistent lies, this lie spawns a bunch of other lies. On social media, I come across extraordinary depictions about how Africans lived like pharaohs before Europeans came and laid waste to their paradise. I wish any of this were true, but it's not. It's a fantasy. The truth is that Africans were sold into slavery by other Black Africans, and in many cases, sold for items as trivial as gin and mirrors. Whites didn't go into the interior and round up the natives. They waited on the coast for their Black partners to bring them Black bodies. The stark reality is that our lives had very little value to our ancestors. Here's the third thing you need to know. If you think slavery is a relic of the past, you're wrong. There are some 700,000 slaves in Africa today, right now. That's the lowest estimate that I could find. Other sources say there are many more. For context, that's almost twice as many slaves as were ever brought to the United States. Child soldiers, human trafficking, forced labor, these are the conditions that currently exist within the same sub-Saharan region where the transatlantic slave trade originated. African bodies are being sold today like they were sold then, and no, They are not being purchased by any country of white men. In fact, slavery, by any traditional definition, is exclusively practiced today within non-white countries. But we hear almost nothing about that. Just like we hear nothing about how slavery was universal until good people in Europe and America ended it 2 centuries ago. Why? Because our so-called leaders, black and white, wouldn't profit from it.
At all.
Black victimhood is nothing if not profitable. It elects politicians and funds racial grievance groups. And if Black Americans began to view themselves as partners in the American dream, if we embraced the patriotic spirit that holds all men are created equal, the patriotic spirit that is our real heritage, then the race hustlers would soon be out of business. And who wants that? I'm Candace Owens, author of Blackout for Prager University. Thank you for watching this video. To keep PragerU videos free, please consider making a tax-deductible donation.
Honestly, first of all, before I actually go into the facts of this video right now, I'm going to say a very simple thing. I've always been a fan of Candace Owens. You know, I've watched her videos mostly on TikTok, and I think, no, I've not actually seen her more on Instagram. I think it's on TikTok and other stuff, you know. And I've always loved the way she speaks and the way she recites by the truth. And I will not tell you that I know her whole history or when she has spoken out wrongly, but I will say for a fact that I've always seen her videos, and in all her videos, I feel like I actually support what she is saying. Now, in this case of slavery right now, but one of the reasons I'm actually reacting to this video, like I said, I got a lot of hate comments in my Star Spangled Banner talking about, I think, the second line of the U.S. national anthem, that if I was being oblivious to that fact of what they were saying there about slavery, that the information there was incorrect, this, that. Now, most of the things I'm going to say here, I know a lot of you will still come after me in my comment section, but that does not change the truth one bit from me saying it. Now, listen to this, right? Now, I didn't even know this fact before, and that was how I felt. You know, some people say, why do I say I want to be an American? Don't I know what the Americans did to the white? Blah, 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 blah. Stuff like that. Now, the funny fact about this is, when I knew about the history, our leaders, or the history portrayed to us in order for us to actually hate each other. But then if you look at it, let's be frank about this, you know, as far back as the ancient Egypt, we know about slaves. I grew up in a Christian home where they talk about how the Israelites were enslaved for many years until Moses came and set them free. That was slavery back then. You know, I'm even saying this video is specifically directed to those of you that have been asking me this question over and over again, and I really did not have an answer to that then, but I'm going to answer it with this one set of video. Now, far back as then, there was slavery. It's just like you growing up, they gave birth to you in a Christian home, right? They gave birth to you in a Christian home, automatically you're a Christian. They gave birth to you in a Muslim home, automatically you're a Muslim. It is only when you are old enough to actually deduct or actually, you know, make decision of your own that you can actually be like, oh, I don't want to be a Muslim again, or I don't want to be a Christian again. I want to pursue my own religion. Do you understand? So our ancestors taught us the way of slavery. These same people that were saying that we were sold into slavery to were the same people that fought for it to be abolished. So tell me, I never had an African man was the one that abolished slavery. Yes, they might have inherited it from their forefathers, but when they were old enough to think for themselves, they said, no, this is not right, this is wrong. This is wrong. See, Candace Owens said that slavery is still even practiced in Africa. I can tell you for a certain fact that yes, it is still being practiced in Africa. But we've changed the name. We no longer call it slavery. We call it different things. Do you understand? We call it different things. You bring people from their home, especially if it's actually practiced very well in Africa. You know, you tell them they will come and serve you for a certain amount of years. By the time they are done, they will settle you this, they will settle you that. But most of them, and most of the time, they don't. They will find 1 or 2 faults that you have done and say because of that fault, they will not settle you. Regardless of that fault, is it not slavery? You are not being paid for your service. So you literally worked all your life or all those years for nothing. Taking harassment, taking insults, taking you might not even be feeling well, doing things that are not even in the pleasure of your own time. So yes, it is still being practiced in Africa. We'll just change them for it. And I don't want to really say much about it because I know if I say much about it, so many people will come after me in my comment section. They'll be like, no, that's not what I mean. That's not what it is. That's not. But the truth of the fact is, if we take away all the fantasies like Candace Owens said, we'll see the truth about this. We still practice slavery. The same people who are saying they are the ones that are practicing the slavery are not the ones. They are the ones that helped us to abolish it. And for a fact, I'll still tell you this today, tomorrow, and next tomorrow. I would love to be an American, regardless of my skin color. Yes, because in as much as they inherited it, they refused to stand with it. They refused to stand by it. They decided to end it. I'm not saying that they are all good. In the midst of every bad egg, there are good eggs. In the midst of every bad egg, there are good eggs. Vice versa. That is the way life is. Just like I always said, it is not as black and blue as we think. Life happens in the gray area, and if you're not wise enough to actually see the gray area, you might live all your whole life in a fantasy, in a mirage. Come on, guys. This is the 21st century. We should be smarter than this. We should be way elevated more than this. Let's stop the hate comments. Let's look at the fact and see the truth about it. Thank you guys for sticking around to this part of this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment on this YouTube channel. Also, feel free to use our Buy Me Coffee link to make priority requests on the next video let's see on our YouTube channel. Please, I'll be talking more on the facts. Tell me your thoughts on the comment section. I might be wrong. I might still not be practicing it. Tell me what you think. See you guys. For now, remain blessed.